Sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing His mercy and His grace. In the mansions bright and blessed, He'll prepare for us a place. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. While we walk the pilgrim pathway, clouds will overspread the sky. But when traveling days are over, not a shadow, not a sign. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of Him in glory will the toils of life repay.
So it's getting more and more intimate. The language should not be treated crudely. It also should not be emptied of its natural meaning. And I think there's a tendency to either of those extremes if we're not careful. We either make it as graphic as we can, or we try to steer away from that because we're afraid of it. We need to take it for exactly what it's intended to do. And it is very intimate language is being used and very graphic descriptions of things, but there's something significant about that language that we're supposed to be taking from it. And so we've got some poetic comparisons that emphasize the bride's beauty and purity and preciousness to the bridegroom. And so what this chapter is going to do is present marital desire as honorable when it is expressed within the bounds of faithful covenant love. And so let's look at verses 1 through 7, and then we'll talk about it. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes that have come up from the washing, all of which bear twins, and not one among them has lost his young. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like halves of a pomegranate behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built in rows of stones. On it hang thousands of shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that graze among the lilies. Until the day breathes and until the shadows flee, I will go away to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. You are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you. All right, so the bridegroom is openly expressing his delight in her. Obviously, that's what's going on here. Did you notice how the chapter both began and how this introduction to the chapter ends? There's some bookends set between verses 1 and 7. It's very clearly a set that needs to be taken together. Those bookends are, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful, are something very close to that. Both in chapter 4, verse 1 and in verse 7. The bride, we mentioned a moment ago in the recap, in the early chapters, has expressed some uncertainty about her appearance. Don't look at me. I'm dark from being out exposed in the sun, and my skin has been affected the way that all skin gets affected from being out in the sun. It's dried out and it's wrinkled and it's cracked and I've been forced to go out into the fields and labor. Don't look at my hands. They're the hands of a laborer. Um, all of that has been expressed. Well, she's not seen that way at all by the bridegroom. The bridegroom doesn't see her through the same eyes which she sometimes sees herself. That is intimated immediately after she says those things to him. When he says, "You're beautiful, and even more fair than all the other ladies," but it is very expressly put down in these verses. Um, he looks upon the woman that he loves and he finds her beautiful. And genuine covenant love doesn't merely possess affection, it communicates that affection to its object, both in speech and in conduct. It communicates that affection. It doesn't just hold it, it uses the affection, which is what's going on here. He is telling her how he sees her and what she means to him. Each individual description contributes something to his appreciation of her whole person. So he describes her eyes, he describes her hair, he describes her teeth, he describes her lips, her cheeks, her neck, and her breasts. The comparisons may be a little unfamiliar to us. Not necessarily things that I would encourage you to tell your wife or your girlfriend, because they might not receive them the same way that someone at that time did. Um, your hair looks like goat hair. Uh, your neck looks like a giant stone tower. Um, those are not modern flattering words, but they actually carry with them significant meaning. So, her eyes. He describes her eyes. How does he say it? Let's go back there. They are doves behind your veil. What in the world does that mean? What do we most closely associate doves with even today? Peace and innocence. So essentially what he's saying here is you're gentle and you're innocent. I see your gentleness and your innocence. I can see it in your eyes. What does he say about her hair? Your hair reminds me of a flock of goats. Uh, look, he's simply describing the beauty and the fullness. And by the way, these are not goats in the sense that we think of American farm yard animal goats. Think more in line of cashmere goats, long flowing hair, very soft, and he's just if you can imagine them in your hair leaping and bouncing down the side of a mountain and all of that beautiful flowing hair catching the sunlight and it would be a beautiful scene. That's what he's saying. That's what I see. I see the beauty of a full, luscious, beautiful, soft head of hair. Your teeth, what did you say about her teeth? They're like what? A flock of shorn ewes. What in the world? Let's go back. A flock of shorn ewes that are coming back from the washing. They're white. They're clean. And they're all there. uh, they're orderly. They're complete. We're not talking about snaggletooth, uh, meth teeth from wherever that comes from. We're talking about someone who's presentable and has good hygiene and takes care of themselves, and is complete and lacking in nothing. Which, by the way, if you didn't notice that, is language that I borrowed from the New Testament's instruction for us to be complete and lacking in nothing. Her lips, like a scarlet thread. But he doesn't just stop with the lips, right? What's he say? Your mouth is lovely. What do we associate the lips and mouth with? Okay. Yes. Kissing. What else? Speech. So what he's saying here is your speech is lovely. There's more than just the physical beauty. There's the character within, because where do our words come from? Our words come from our heart and reveal who we are and what our character is. And so he is talking about her speech being lovely. Her mouth is attractive. Her neck, there's that stone tower with the shields hanging all over it. What is that? I'm sorry. Okay, she protects it. I think there's something. Why would you hang shields on the Tower of David? Besides just the idea that there are shields there, and it specifies these are shields of a warrior. So there is some protection and some security idea that's being conveyed there, because we're told specifically it's warrior shield. But what do these bronze shields do? And what do we associate with the neck that might have a similar physical appearance? Yeah, a necklace. We adorn them with jewelry. And by the way, necklaces historically aren't always little thin chains with pendants hanging on them like we are wont to wear today. They oftentimes were bands, some of them quite large, which would have very much had that type of appearance. And the idea is they reflect light, and the purpose of reflecting the light is to what? To draw attention. Now, the Tower of David, isn't that the language he used? What do you think was true about the Tower of David? What tower might we distinguish it from? I'll ask it that way. Move a little forward in history, still an old tower to us, but move a little forward in history from this time, and there's another famous tower, the Tower of Pisa. What do we know about the Tower of Pisa? It's leaning. It's been leaning since essentially the day it was built. Not long after it was finished, there were problems. Leaning towers good? Are straight towers good? And the answer is straight towers are good. We want our houses square and our walls plumb. What's being pictured here is a long, tall, straight neck that is adorned. She has this neck that conveys dignity and strength. She holds her head high. It's not a hidden neck. She holds her head high. She stands up straight. Her breasts, how does he describe them? Your two breasts are like two fawns. Okay, we're going to start off asking the question, what's a fawn? Okay, a baby. And here we are told specifically what class of a gazelle. What do we know about gazelles? What are gazelles known for? Okay, they do run fast, but they do something else even more. They jump, they bounce. And when they're young, they do it even more. And so he is describing in very graphic language young, youthful beauty. Your breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Listen, there's something special about twins. My grandmother, great grandmother, raised chickens and cows and various other things similar to that on what we called a farm. By the time I knew her, it had been whittled down to 30 acres or less. It had started bigger than that when they first got the land. Then the oil companies came in and they sold off portions of it. And anyway, eventually it was down to the 17 acres directly around the house, but we still called it the farm. But they raised chickens and cows and other things like that. And she always wanted a set of twin calves. There's just something special about that. So they're like twins. It's not just two young fawns. It's a pair, a twin pair of two fawns. Um, this is describing tenderness and beauty and attraction and all of the things that we associate with the kind of relationship that this is clearly growing into. Um, he doesn't describe disconnected physical features merely for their own sake. All of this thing is a flow. Your eyes, your hair, your teeth, your lips, your cheeks, your neck. And by the way, twice in this list, he points out what? That her face was veiled. Your eyes from behind the veil. Now, that one I can sort of understand because we generally think of the veil as being from there down, although it may have been from here down. And then you have to start asking the questions, wait a minute, if there's a veil there, how does he see her eyes? But then it gets below that. What about the mouth? Well, the mouth and the cheeks are also hidden behind her veil. So how does he know that her cheeks possess this delicate color like if you half a pomegranate and you see the red center of the pomegranate? How does he know that there's blushing cheeks? How does he know that her mouth is thin? Okay. Okay. There's the possibility the veil is sheer enough, but there's also the possibility that he's what? He's not necessarily describing what he sees, he's describing what he knows. And there's another subtle description here in that does God have to physically see us to know our hearts? What is hidden from God? Nothing. And so there is that communication that's going on here. There's nothing hidden from him. Even though part of it's veiled, he still sees. We tend to think that something that is veiled from us is something that is being kept from us. He does not see it that way. Despite the fact that she's wearing her modest veil, he still sees her and sees her well enough to describe what he sees. Each part is contributing to his delight in this complete person. In other words, well, I'll go ask this question as well. Can he see her breasts? The presumption must be that they are covered. So how can he describe them the way that he describes them? Because he doesn't see her simply for her physical beauty. He's describing her as beautiful because of his love and affection for her. It doesn't matter what's physically actually there. What matters is what he sees. Yes, ma'am. And what does he see? We'll make these spiritual applications at the end of our discussion in this chapter. But what does he see? Well, I'll tell you what he sees. He sees us as beautiful and as young and as engaging and as lovely in all the things that the king, the groom, is saying about his betrothed. Marital love properly includes physical attraction. And we need to understand that the Song of Solomon does not treat the body as something that is altogether shameful, which unfortunately is not always true about chaste people. Sometimes in our zeal for being chaste and shamefaced, we think that the body is somehow bad, shouldn't be enjoyed, shouldn't be appreciated. That's simply not true. The bridegroom is attracted to his bride, sees her as lovely, sees her as beautiful, notices the things that we notice about beautiful people of the opposite gender. Scripture presents this attraction as completely appropriate within the context of the covenant that they're entering into. There's nothing inappropriate about what he says here. Now, would it be inappropriate for me to walk up to a lady and say, hey, your breasts are lovely like a twin gazelles? Would that be viewed as appropriate? No. Is it appropriate for me to think that way of my wife? Yes. So we start getting into some other applications that will make of this. The misuse of physical desire is a problem, but the misuse of physical desire does not make the desire itself sinful. And that's the mistake that people made. Historically, we assign it to the Puritans, and then we inherited that from the Puritans and that Puritan mindset. And I want to go on record as saying not all of the chasteness of the Puritans is inappropriate or wrong or even bad, but it can be taken too far. God created man and woman as embodied persons. He gave us our physical bodies. He shaped them into the shape that they have. He gave us all the parts that we have. He made us the way that he wanted us. And I'll go on record as also saying that he made it very clear that it was not just good, but what? Very good. So not only did he make us the way that he made us, but he made us exactly the way he wanted to make us, and then said, this is very good. We need to appreciate that. And so we are embodied persons, and we are, I'll say it this way, established marriage is given in the exact same context as our creation and the complement that we provide one another as male and female. In that exact same context, marriage is given as the established relationship in which those desires can be faithfully and honorably expressed. Genesis 2:24 and 25, for this cause a man shall leave his father and mother, shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Hebrews 13:4, anybody know what Hebrews 13:4 says? I'll give you a hint, it starts with the word marriage. That's the last half of it. Marriage is to be held in honor among all, and the marriage bed is undefiled. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the physical relationship between a man and a woman within the boundaries of marriage. It's an honorable and beautiful thing, and it should be held in honor and should be respected, and that's okay. There is a problem in abusing and misusing that natural relationship. Romans 1 talks about giving up the natural association of male with female and burning in your lust and desire for one another. men with men or women with women. That's a misuse of the body and of the relationship. But within the confines of the relationship, this is an honorable thing and should be held in honor among all. Not viewed as a shameful thing, but viewed as an honorable thing. The bridegroom sees no defect that diminishes her. This is the language that's amazing to me. We already read verse 1. Well, we've actually read all of it technically, but we already highlighted verse 1 at the beginning of our discussion. At this point, I'll draw your attention to the way he says it in verse 7. You are altogether beautiful, my love. That's the exact language from verse 1. What changes is the last phrase, which is this: there is no flaw in you. Now, this conclusion toward which the entire description is moving, that's the whole point of this whole description from beginning to end, starting with the eyes, going to the hairs, going to the cheeks, going to the mouth, going to the neck, going to the... There is no... We can go down to the toes if you want to extend it that far. There is no flaw in you. He's not making a clinical claim that she possesses no physical imperfections. She's already highlighted her physical imperfections. So what is he doing here? And describing her the way he sees her. Instead of being one of those persons that, now this is the curse of musicians, being one of those persons that focuses only on what is wrong. He is intentionally looking past what is wrong and seeing the whole person. And then evaluating the whole person. And says, look, what I see is something that is flawless, in which I delight in. That's how love sees. Love does not take into account our wrong suffered. 1 Corinthians 13. Love does not rejoice in what is wrong, but rejoices in what is right. Go read 1 Corinthians 13, a whole entire chapter about love, and it is saying that love sees what is good and what is right and makes evaluations about what is good and doesn't accuse and focus on every little thing that is evil and lead to division. Love draws together and brings to unity. A man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife. Love creates unity. Yes, sir. There also seems to be a rather thinly veiled connection here to Ephesians chapter 5. For those of y'all that missed what he just did there, a thinly veiled, twice in those verses, there's a mention to a veil. Anyway, go ahead. Where Ephesians chapter 5, verse 27, the church is to be presented to the bride as without spot. Should we just skip to the end of my outline? Good observation. Look at verse 8 with me. Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Depart from the peak of Amana, from the peak of Senir and Hermon, from the dens of lions, from the mountains of leopards. The bridegroom is now addressing her expressly as a bride, by the way. First time, for the very first time in this book, he calls her what? My bride. Hadn't seen that language before, but it's introduced here. It's repeated from this point on in the Song of Solomon. And so we know that what's happening here is there is a significant development in this relationship that's taking place. He is no longer seeing her just as the object of his affection, but now he is seeing her as a part of him. She's not just a woman that he desires. She's not even just the beloved in whom he seeks. She's now the bride with whom he is entering into union. The two shall become one flesh. The bridegroom calls her away from places that are both distant and danger. Come from Lebanon, come from Ammana, come from Sinir, come from Hermon. Now, obviously, she's not in all those places because you can't be in 4 places at once. So this is clearly poetic language that is simply saying what? Come down from you're separated. The elevation, if you're on the top of the mountain and I'm not, then you're away from me. If you're in a far distant land, then you're away. Come from those places that are distant from me and come toward me. Come out of the lion's den. Come away from the leopards. What are lions and leopards? Dangerous. Come out of those dangerous, high, and distant places and come where it's safe in my arms. We have a song, Safe in the Arms of Jesus. That's what he's saying there. Come with me. Not just come find me or come be near, but come with me. Share life with me. Stay with me. Covenant union requires the leaving of one life and the beginning of another life. From the very beginning, Genesis 2:24, marriage has required a man and a woman to leave their former attachments, which expressly in that text is father and mother, the genesis of your birth, and become one flesh together. The bridegroom is not merely asking for her to visit him, come visit me, not asking her to come stay the night. Yes, sir. Do you have a comment? Thought I saw a hint. That's not what's going on here. He's inviting her to come with him. The language anticipates this new life that they will begin together, no longer apart, but now together as one. And the bride's exclusive love captivates the bridegroom. Let's pick up the reading in verse 9. You've captivated my heart, my sister, my bride. You've captivated my heart with one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. How beautiful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much better is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your oils than spice. Your lips drip nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. A garden locked is my sister, my bride. A spring locked, a fountain sealed. Your shoots are an orchard of pomegranates with all choicest fruits, henna with nard, nard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with all trees of frankincense, myrrh, and aloes, with all choice spices, a garden fountain, a well of living water, and flowing streams from Lebanon. And so what's going on here is her love has now completely captured his heart. You have captivated my heart. And when he says, my sister, my bride, obviously he's not talking literally about her being descendant of his same parents, but he's talking about what? the connection, the fellowship, the close relationship, the intimate association. Why do members of the church call each other brother and sister? Are we literally brothers and sisters physically? We are? Your parents and my parents are the same people? Now, we do have some connected lineage. We got to go way back probably to get to it, but we do have some connected lineage way back there. But that's not why we call each other brother and sister, because if that was why we called each other brother and sister, we'd have to call every single person alive on the planet brother and sister, and we generally don't do that. So why do we use that language? To describe our fellowship and our closeness and the deepness of our relationship. We are family. Was that the Pointer Sisters? We are family. All my sisters and me. I don't think they were actually physically sisters either. Were they? Maybe they were. I'd have to do some research on that. That was a long time ago. But here's my point. That's all he's doing is laying out the parameters of how close and intimate this relationship is. The expression, my sister, my bride, communicates closeness and affection rather than the biological relationship. She's both his intimate companion and his covenant partner, and he wants her to know that. I really want to finish this chapter, not going to do it, so we will finish this discussion next time and make the applications and maybe get into chapter 5 at that point. We did make some progress. I appreciate everybody's engagement, everybody's comments. They're helpful, and I think they're good for the class. And we'll call it quits at this point.
Sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing his mercy and his grace. In the mansions bright and blessed, he'll prepare for us a place. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be.